Yeah, I already have plans that day.
Of two minds.
Hey everybody, welcome to Of Two Minds. Two quick things. The first, I am from the United States of America, so if you're from a different country or a different culture, the things that I say, they may not apply the same for you. Number two, I am not a licensed professional. People. What is it about other people? Sometimes it's just easier to be alone. Who needs people? Here on Of Two Minds, I talk about mental health and social situations, and today we're talking about why you are avoiding social situations. Before we talk about this though, do me a favor. Why do you think that you avoid social situations? Leave that down below in the comments. There could be so many reasons why you might avoid social situations, and I can't possibly cover them all in one video, but I wanted to go through a few things here to give you some ideas. One obvious reason why you might avoid social situations and other people is because you've been harmed by people before. You don't want to go towards people who harm you. If we've experienced some kind of trauma, I've been talking a lot about attachment trauma and avoidant attachment here on this channel, we may feel like getting close to other people is threatening. It brings up anxiety in us and it doesn't feel comfortable. Usually attachment trauma happens in childhood, but even after something like a really bad breakup, we tend to withdraw and want to get away from other people because we just don't know what we can trust, and we just kind of have to take that time to mend, to feel better. No, I just need some time alone. Something else that may make us feel isolated from other people, that may make us avoid social situations, is depression. When we're experiencing depression, we lack motivation to do things in general, and one of those things is to be out among other people. It's possible that we just feel like we're a burden to other people, like we don't feel like socializing to begin with, and we might feel like, well, other people want to socialize and I'm just bringing everybody else down. So when we're in depression, it just doesn't usually mix with social situations. I hate my life. Something else that we could be experiencing that may make us avoid social situations is social anxiety. When we feel social anxiety, we usually feel like other people are judging us, and we always feel like eyeballs are on us. When you feel like when you go out, everybody is watching you, everybody's judging you, and every move you make is being criticized in some way, that's scary. And of course you don't want to go and put yourself into social situations because that's going to overwhelm you. Your anxiety is going to rise, and you might even be afraid like that it gets too overwhelming and you don't know how you're possibly going to escape without, of course, becoming embarrassed. I need to get out of here. Something else I haven't talked about too much, but could be linked to social anxiety and why we would avoid social situations, would actually be narcissism. I've talked a lot about narcissism, don't get me wrong, but I haven't really talked too much about how narcissism and social anxiety might interact. When we feel like we're always being judged, as we do when we have social anxiety, we may try to defend against that with narcissism. We may try to say in our heads that we're better than other people, we're above other people, and that may actually cause us to just not go out in the first place because we're better than that. We don't need to be around other people. We have nothing to prove. Another way this may show up is that we may just not want to be around people who don't give us constant praise. And when we feel like we are being judged, and maybe there are some people in our lives who are critical of us, that may be enough for us to be like, you know what? Screw this, I need attention, you're not giving me the kind of attention I want, I'm gonna find it somewhere else. I know this sounds counterintuitive to the way that we usually think about narcissism. We usually think of narcissists as always needing attention from other people and always being the center of attention, but sometimes that attention doesn't jive with the way that we view ourselves, and it hurts our ego, and so when we are narcissistic, we may actually want to shy away. We might dive into things like our work or our hobbies that give us more of a sense of feeling good about ourselves. Why would I want to hang out with you? Another reason we may want to avoid social situations is that we could be somewhere on the autism spectrum. Typically when you're on the autism spectrum, you have a hard time reading social cues, and sometimes there's too many sensations going on in a social situation for you to take in all at once. It becomes too overwhelming. It can be really uncomfortable when you don't quite know how to interpret the way that everybody's behaving, and you don't know how to interact with people. And because of this kind of awkwardness, because it's not quite the norm, other people may treat you badly, and then you just don't want to get involved in social situations at all. Yeah, what did you say? We may also avoid social situations because of schizotypy. Schizotypy can leave us feeling afraid of other people. We may feel unnerved, unsettled, uncomfortable when we're around other people. Other people may have pointed out that we have some eccentric thoughts or eccentric behaviors, and that makes us feel outcast. It makes us not feel like we fit in with other people. And because we're feeling insecure, we may just like to be alone. I'm telling you, this guy is staring at me. Another reason that you might be avoiding social situations is that you could have an eating disorder. Usually when there's a social gathering of people, food comes up at some point, and if you have an eating disorder, food itself can be very triggering. But even if it's not the food that triggers you, the environment, the expectations of what it means to have a meal or what's going to be in that meal, and are people going to be judging you for what you're having and what you're not having, like all of these things can come into your mind and make it like impossible to be in a social situation with other people when you don't know if food's going to be involved or not, or how the food's it's a mess. And related to that, somebody who's in recovery for alcohol abuse or even any kind of substance abuse, if it's alcohol, again, if there's food involved, you don't know if there's going to be alcohol, there can be triggering things that you choose to avoid because it's important for your recovery. If it's substance abuse, you may avoid certain friends because you know that they use those substances, or you know that they may trigger you and make you want to use those substances. I think you're starting to see a pattern here. Almost all mental illnesses are going to make you in some way or another want to avoid social situations. And that really sucks because most mental illnesses, most mental health problems can be at least helped a little bit by being around other people, by being around people who are safe. This is one of the reasons why I am always recommending in my videos that if you can, go in and see a therapist. They are trained to help you feel better about bonding with them, about having a at least working relationship with them, and then you can bring that out into the real world. Of course, you don't even have to have a diagnosed mental illness or a mental health problem to avoid social situations. Most of us don't really want to be around other people when we're stressed out and we're feeling irritable. Maybe we're angry and we're afraid we're going to hurt someone. Or maybe whatever it is that people are doing, you just don't want to do it. It's not enjoyable to you and you really just need to take a day to rest. Why do you avoid social situations? A lot of these different problems that we have, they get agitated when we're stressed out, and we may withdraw from people more when we're feeling stressed out. If you're somebody who has trouble with stress regulation, maybe you don't recognize when you're stressed out, I have some free worksheets over on my Patreon page. Those are for you. On Patreon, I support people doing work that they love. I have patrons who help to support me here in making these videos and my mission of humanizing mental health. Thank you, as always, to my patrons. If you like learning about mental health and social situations, why not head over to youtube.com/RyanLiberty, go hit subscribe. Thank you for joining me, everybody, here on Of Two Minds. Hey, sorry I couldn't make it. Thank you for understanding.